The case of David Dooley. It was the 29th of May, 2012. A young woman checked into work earlier than she usually did on a Tuesday. She did not know that that would be her last time alive. An hour later, the woman was found dead. She had suffered severe blunt force injuries. There was only 13 people on the premises that day. Who could have killed this woman? This is the case of Mockbee and David Dooley. In today's video, we will be telling you about a janitor who killed a woman to get away with another crime. Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Today, I bring you the chilling case of David Dooley. Please subscribe to our channel. Also, in order not to miss our stories, press the alarm bell and turn on YouTube notifications on your phone. Sit back and enjoy. Mockbee was the office coordinator at the head of payroll at Thermo Fisher Scientific. The company is located in an industrial area in Florida, North Kentucky. She had worked there for almost 17 years. It's safe to assume that Michelle really liked her job. It was there where she met her husband, Dan Mockbee. He was 42 years at the time of her death and shared 2 lovely daughters with her husband. All of her colleagues, friends and family adored her. It wasn't like Michelle had any known enemies. The murder was a mystery to all. On the day of her murder, Michelle arrived at work earlier than her colleagues. Her car was seen pulling in a little before 6 a.m. An hour later, a 911 call was made. In the recorded audio between the man and the 911 dispatcher, the man said that he thinks somebody killed somebody in the office upstairs. He states that she was lying there on the ground, covered up, and there was blood all over the floor and the office. He said her name is Michelle Mockbee, but her whole body was covered in plastic and it was difficult to see her head or anything. The agent asked if there was anyone else in the office and he said yes. There was a maintenance man with him when they found the body. He identified the janitor as Dave. From there, an investigation was launched. The surveillance video showed Michelle pulling up to the warehouse where she clocked in and went up to her office. The man who made the 911 was a supervisor who arrived at 7 a.m. and noticed a huge blood stain in the carpet. With help from David the janitor, he tried to trace the source of the stain, which led them to the body of Michelle. It was truly a horrifying sight. Michelle had been severely beaten, tied up, gagged, and her head was wrapped with a plastic bag. There was blood all over the scene. Judging from the scene of the crime, Michelle was likely attacked outside her office and dragged to where she was found. This is because her office door was still locked. This means the victim never made it inside her office. What was baffling was that there was always security on the premises. This means that the murderer was someone who had access to the building. Michelle's office door showed marks of an attempted break-in. Yes, Michelle was the head of payroll, but that didn't mean she had a bunch of cash lying around the office. There wasn't really anything valuable in the office. Well, the assailant thought so. Michelle's husband was phoned and briefed about what had happened. You can imagine the shock he went through. He still had to be questioned about his whereabouts at the time of the attack. That morning, he was home in bed. He didn't go to work. The detectives then made him take a polygraph test, which he passed. He was then eliminated from the suspects list. The detectives' attention went back to the people who were in the building at the time of the attack. All of the people who were detained in the office after the police arrived were questioned. However, there was no evidence tying any of them to the attack. After this fruitless questioning, the police went back to analysing the CCTV cameras, hoping to find another person who could have murdered Michelle. The video showed a vehicle driving out of the premises at 6:31 a.m. and it belonged to no other than the janitor, David Dooley. That is 30 minutes after Michelle was believed to have been killed. He came back at 7 a.m, right before the 911 call was made. With that time frame, he had more than enough time to go and discard any evidence from his body. The fact that he never mentioned it to the police raised a red flag. With this chilling evidence, the police went to David's residence to question him and his wife, Janet. He admitted driving out and in. He claimed he came back to check on his wife because he was worried about her. His wife, however, said she did not see him until after he was released after being questioned. In a second interview, Janet said that she did indeed see him and that David had said he was coming to change his ripped pants. David denied ever saying so. The couple's lies were not helping their case at all. The police was granted search warrants to both their cars and their apartment. However, their search came up empty. There was simply no evidence tying David to the crime. Yet 4 months later, David was arrested for the murder of Michelle Mockbee. The accusation was not going to be an easy one to prove. The prosecutor had no hard evidence. There was no DNA, no fingerprints, no bloodied shirt or boots, nothing. What they had were the lies David and his wife had told. Every other employee could vouch for their whereabouts and account for their time except Dooley. The prosecutor uncovered a motive. Both David and Janet worked at Thermo Fisher Scientific. They used to illegally clock in hours for each other to increase their pay. That is, they were triple dipping their pay. The prosecutors believed that on the morning, David was trying to break into Michelle's office and mess with the payroll system. However, Michelle had found out about it and surprised him that morning. Or she may have simply chanced on him trying to break in. Whatever the case, he beat her to death when she caught him. The defence argued that this was circumstantial evidence and that Michelle's DNA was never found on David. In fact, some DNA was found, but it did not match David or Michelle. The prosecutors said that it didn't matter that there wasn't any DNA found on David because he always had cleaning supplies with him. A medical examiner ruled that Michelle died from a blunt force trauma to the head, and the weapon used was likely a tape dispenser. The trial came to an end and David Dooley was found guilty of the murder of Michelle Mockbee. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Everyone thought that was the end of the case. Well, they thought wrong. 2 years after David was sent to prison for the murder, an ethical issue came up. There was issues of sexual relationships between lead director Bruce McVeigh and prosecutor Linda Talley-Smith. When questioned, they said their relationship started after the trial, yet the evidence gathered proved otherwise. Because of this, David's defence team appealed to the court. Bruce and Linda were asked to testify in the hearing, and they were grilled by David's new lawyer. Bruce admitted that he had had a sexual relationship with Linda. A letter Linda wrote to Bruce was also revealed. In the letter, Linda blamed Bruce for allowing her to go through an entire murder trial without telling her about a certain video. It meant that they had hidden evidence from David's defence team. The evidence in question was a video showing a random dude at the company a day before the attack happened. It was not much to go on, but they couldn't deny it looked odd. Only Bruce knew about this existence of the video. Linda did not find out until after the first trial. However, she admitted that it would not have changed anything about the case. There were still inconsistencies about whether or not David came home, which were too clear to ignore. There was also the issue of the ripped pants. Janet said that she thought her husband had said something about ripped pants and put two and two together. Anyway, the case moved forward to trial number 2 in 2019. In the second trial, the prosecution presented a screwdriver they had found amongst David's things. They said that it matched the marks on the door of Michelle's office. David and Janet's time currents for that week were never found. It was believed Michelle probably had it on her when David had killed her for them. On top of that, they weren't sure where David had gone to after driving out of the premises in the morning. Did he really go home? Or did he drive somewhere to get rid of the evidence? The prosecution argued that David did the latter, yet no blood was found in his car. Mind you, the murder was a very violent one. The defence then started pointing fingers at Michelle's husband, Dan. He received $700,000 worth of life insurance after Michelle's death. In a year, he had withdrawn $200,000 in cash, enough to pay a killer for a job done. That didn't hold water. Finally, if David did indeed kill Michelle, why move the body? The intent was not to hide the body, so what then was the reason? Why risk getting all that blood on yourself if the body was to be found in less than a minute? David's DNA was found on the screwdriver and the plastic bag around Michelle's head. However, lab techs say that it was so little that they could neither include nor exclude the findings. The jury still found David guilty for a second time. As for David, he believed from the get-go that he had been treated unfairly, and he still maintains his innocence. This is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. For more interesting stories like this, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video and share it to your friends and family. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.